Hello there. Welcome to The Flex with Aliyah. This is a new podcast that I'm excited to start. I'm your host, Aliyah. Surprise, surprise. And today's episode is called Just Do It. And it's pretty much about how the podcast got started, why it came to be, and what you can expect to see in the future. So I'm really excited to get going. I hope you are too. Maybe a little intrigue. Who knows? And I want to start things off with a quote, and it's by Walt Disney. It's, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." And that's exactly what I'm doing. The idea of this podcast kind of evolved from a conversation that I had with a colleague of mine. We were just sitting one day after a workout, and I was like, "Do you think I should start a podcast?" He was like, "Yo, man, totally. You should definitely start a podcast." And I was like, okay, now that you're excited about it, maybe slow your roll. Because he got excited about it. It made me a little nervous. Like, well, what do I have to say? What can I bring to the table that people will be interested in? And then I took that and I was like, okay. And I brought it to social media. So if you're not following me on social media, have to. My Instagram is League of Extraordinary Fitness. Extraordinary spelled with an X. So I brought it to social media and I posed the question, podcast, yay, nay? And I got some decent feedback, even some private messages that were like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to hear about your training. You have so much to say." And then I went back to my colleague and I started talking to him about it. It's like, I don't know if I should do this because I tried to post some quality content on Instagram. Is it working? Is it not working? He's like, "Aliyah, just do it. You have nothing to lose. You've got so much to say." And so I started thinking about it and I asked him, it's like, well, why would you listen to me? And we had a really good conversation about that. He told me some thoughts that he had just from seeing me in the gym, seeing me work out, stuff like that. And that is really how the idea of getting this podcast started. Just a simple conversation of, hey, should I do that? Could I do that? What could it include? And a little bit about me. Because, why in the heck would you listen to some stranger you don't know? Graham, we always do. We're flipping through our phones on social media, random person. Ooh, that sounds true. Ooh, that sounds good. So, why the flex with Aliyah? Well, not to say that I'm just badass, but not just that, but I have a wealth of knowledge from my education and my hands-on experience. Not to bore you, because who wants a laundry list of things, but just so you know, I have a master's degree in exercise and sports science. I have a degree in sports psychology, so that mental side. I work a lot with injured athletes and those who want to improve their performance, whether that is super competitively or recreationally competitive. And then also senior fitness, women fitness, because there's different stages of women's life, menopause, postpartum, during pregnancy, before pregnancy, trying to get pregnant, all different stages of life. So that's my education in a very, very short nutshell about topics that I could talk about to pique your interest, we'll say. And then my hands-on experience. I've been in the health and fitness industry for about 15 years, give or take. And I've tried so many different sports. One, because I'm an avid athlete and I love just diving into anything. Anything I can get my hands on and try to be like, ooh, that looks cool. Ooh, that looks nice. That's the way I better myself as an athlete and as a coach. Because I learn new techniques, new different styles of training that I can take back to my athletes or my gym members and help them. In case you didn't know, I'm also a gym owner. I've had a business for, I think, about 6 years now. Woo! Go me. Okay, small business owner, made it past the first year, and woman in business. Hoorah! But that's actually a pretty exceptional feat for small businesses and women in business. So fuck yeah, let's do it. And I actually have an online business, and I work with individuals internationally and nationwide with their health and fitness. Some of them are athletes. Some of them have had injuries that they've gone to doctors. They've gotten all these tests. They've gone to PT. Nothing works. So then they come to me. I have those clients, the ones that just general health and fitness, and I have athletes who like, hey, I want to do this ultra marathon. I want to do this CrossFit competition. Ooh, look at that obstacle course race. So very diverse because my background is so diverse. The populations that I can help is wide. And now for the last almost 2 years, I've had a brick and mortar place. And initially I had been waiting. I've been wanting to open my own gym. And then an opportunity arose to take over a gym. And so bing, bang, boom, that's what I did. So I have two businesses merged together, my virtual performance coaching that I do, and then a gym where we do functional fitness training, have some ninja style stuff, some obstacle stuff. It's really fun. You should check it out. It's in XMPA. You can see it online at Extraordinary Fitness. That's our Instagram. Check out our webpage. Look me up. I tag them all the time on Instagram. So here at the Flex with Aliyah, you're going to learn a whole bunch of cool things about me and also some of the things that I have to offer. It's not about that, but we're gonna expand your horizons, we'll say. Like I said, I've been in the health and fitness industry for 15 years, about, give or take. And you know what is so interesting? I thought about this as I was beginning the process of this podcast. And I started to look at some of the gender split between the hosts. And it actually was a really hard statistic to find for podcasts hosted by males compared to females. And I found that about 29% are hosted by females, 2% considered non-binary, and all the rest were male co-hosts. And why is that relevant? Well, because I'm a badass female host and I want to get you guys all interested so we can, boom, crush this podcast. But the reason I looked up that stat was because I was curious. And not only was I curious, I had thought about myself as a business owner, as an athlete, as a trainer, and I thought back on it. And over the course of my 15 years, I have mainly only ever worked with male trainers. And I didn't realize that until I started thinking about this podcast. I was like, holy fuck, that is mind-blowing. How have I rarely spent any other time with female trainers? So all my managers have been men. All my co-trainers have been men. Now, outside of fitness, yep, I've been managed by a female before, absolutely. But in the health and fitness industry, only men. How crazy is that? That's so crazy. And I think there was one time where it was in my later years, I actually did join someone else's business, and it happened to be a woman-run business. And I took over their personal training. So it was the only time I actually ever worked with a female, but I was on my own for most of it, pretty much all of it. But that's mind-boggling to me that my training and experience mainly comes from working with men and working alongside men. So maybe that's why sometimes people think I have a little rough exterior, but really that's probably just me. But if you think about it, you would think I would have encountered other female trainers that I would have worked alongside. But no, the gym owners, even when I worked for a corporation and I helped manage their fitness center, nope, men. I'm male. It's crazy. And I was so perplexed by that reflection. I was like, you have so much to offer as a podcast. That's what I told myself. Like, if I, in 15 years plus experience, have only ever maybe worked alongside a female for 4 months, I got shit to say. And I have stuff to offer business owners, female business owners, women who work in the health and fitness industry, athletes and coaches. There's a whole perspective that is probably neglected and not talked about enough. And that's what I bring to the table. That's what's going to be different about this podcast. Sure, I absolutely, this isn't like, woo, women all the way, screw men. Absolutely not. Definitely not. But it's going to be a different perspective that you guys or people might not know exists because there's just so limited either resources or exposure to it. So in this podcast, I'm going to hit upon topics that pertain to businesses or small business, ownership, females in business, competition, athletes. So what I foresee this podcast including going forward is a wide array of thoughts, opinions, not just from myself. I am a solo host, but I also plan on having guests on the show because that back and forth between differing opinions is so great for everyone to hear, even myself. And I think it will provide a more well-rounded experience for everybody. Topics I plan on discussing are business, health, fitness, recovery, injuries, stuff like that. And also we'll absolutely take suggestions because I know people, sometimes they're like, ooh, I want to know about this. And you know what? We're going to bring it to the table and we'll talk about it. Even if it is an unconventional topic or something that people might not be as keen on. You know, like women, we have to train them. We have to train during our cycles. And it's fucking hard, let me tell you. But that's a topic that's so taboo. People don't talk about it. But it needs to be talked about. Women training during their pregnancy, after their pregnancy, how they're recovering, stuff like that. Even men. I've had work with men who just had vasectomies. Is that talked about a lot? No, but it's something that we have to do as trainers. And that's part of life. We shouldn't shy away from talking about those things. One of the other reasons that I was curious about starting a podcast was the fact that I've had the experience and privilege of being on some podcasts. However, I was always presented with superficial topics. And it gave me the ick. I was invited onto these podcasts to talk about my background or my performance at an event. But the number one question and topic that I was always asked right out of the gate, not even about how I performed at an event, was about my earrings and my haircut. And like, I am more than what I look like. Do I look amazing? Badass? Absolutely. But that doesn't need to be the topic of conversation. There's so much more than that to me. And I didn't really enjoy that from the podcast. I don't think it enhanced it, and it didn't provide any information to the listeners. Except for, why do you run in those hoop earrings? Well, because I want to. Karen, like, who cares that I'm running hoop earrings? Do they have magical powers? If they did, I'd share that secret with people. You know, does my buzzed hair give me more aerodynamics to run faster? Maybe, I don't know, but probably not. So being asked a question like that on a podcast that's supposed to reach out to viewers, I disliked. And I don't want to talk about that. I think it's subpar. And I only want to do above average stuff. So we're definitely going to ask some hard questions. We're going to talk about some hard topics, get right down and dirty to it, you know. So to summarize, The Flex with Aliyah is going to be a diverse podcast hosted by me, Aliyah, talking about business, health, fitness, females in those areas. We're going to have some guests on the show. We're going to have a lot of unique conversations because I know you're eager to hear all my stories from working with men for the past 15 years. And let me tell you, I got some juicy ones, which actually is going to be the next podcast. And that's called That's What He Said. And you would not believe what he said. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this inaugural episode of The Flex with Aliyah. I really appreciate you giving me your time. And then just wait. We're going to build. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to create a freaking empire together. So click that subscribe button. Stay tuned for next week for That's What He Said. And just like I said in the beginning, the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. I stopped talking about it, I made it happen, and here we are. Here's The Flex with Aliyah. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Just do it, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.